Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to 28 British versus American words for foods. Now, I think it's been said that England and America are two countries separated by by a common language, which always makes me laugh because, we understand each other pretty much perfectly. But I wonder, guys, let me know, are there ever any words that I use that you don't understand the meaning of or the context of which I'm using them? Let me know. I'd be quite interested to know. But yeah, I think you guys probably understand me pretty well. It's funny, in my statistics, in my analytics, 5% of my viewers use subtitles. Can you believe that? That's pretty funny, isn't it? But then maybe it's because they might have hearing difficulties, I'm not sure. So yeah, there's words that we, for food, for example, that like tomato, but they're still the same word, it's just pronunciation. So I'd love to know if there's actually the different words that you guys use for certain things versus what we use. So yeah, this video is going to be super interesting. Let's do it. Okay.
Hello, I'm Lawrence.
I'm Tara.
And we are on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America
lost in the pond.
And one of those memos pertains to food.
Food.
Specifically, the words we use to describe them. George Bernard Shaw once said that Britain and America are two nations divided by a common language. Yep. And nowhere is this more evident when it comes to the things we put in our mouth. Food.
And so today we are going to be talking about 28 different British and American words for food. So just as a disclaimer, I actually use the British terminology for most of these nowadays because I've just been with you so long.
Yeah, sorry,
It's funny though how he hasn't started using the American versions, but she started using the British ones. Interesting observation.
I feel like a king.
And as such, I might actually forget the American words too, but bear with me, I'll try to give you some context.
And so without further ado, let the buffet commence. All right, well, one entry in and I already want to eat the picture. Wife, what do you call this?
Yorkshire puddings,
I call it a Yorkshire pudding, but it is a popover in this country.
But again, my influence has paid off. I also call it a Yorkshire pudding, not to be confused with pudding that we use to describe desserts in Britain. This is a savoury meal that you would eat as perhaps part.
I've genuinely never heard this is the first time I've heard popover in my life in this regard.
Part of a Sunday roast.
Fun fact, I learned to make these before I met him.
Did you?
Yeah. And I'll explain it more when I actually make a video about them.
So at first glance, I think I'd call this chocolate sauce, but that's not what this photo is of. Well, I mean, I can't describe it without giving away the answer, although I could just tell you what I call it.
What is that?
It would be black treacle.
Oh, it's molasses.
Now, apparently these have different names around the world, but where I grew up, this
that.
was known as a Swiss roll.
Yep.
I think it was a Swiss roll where I grew up too, but I think the Swiss rolls that I ate as a kid came in Little Debbie boxes or something like that at least.
Now, this one's an interesting one.
That's just sweet corn.
To me, because when I first moved here, I ordered some of this at Qdoba, and I think I referred to it then, as I always have, as sweet corn.
But we call it corn.
But I should say that I have on occasion heard people in the US refer to it as sweet corn as well. It's just not as widespread as you would find in the UK. Right, if you know your onions...
These are spring onions, aren't they?
Because that's a phrase, then you'll know that this is a specific kind of onion, and where I come from, refer to this as a spring onion.
And I refer to the top of it as spring onions and the bottom of it as scallions because that's the type of onion that it is.
Are you making a compromise with your husband, or is that just fact?
Sounds French. Scallion. Oh.
I think it might just be fact, but you're going to have to look up on your botany.
Americans, just like Brits, do enjoy their Italian food, and this, where I come from, would have been referred to, and still is, I think, as either spaghetti bolognese or spag bol, because we like to shorten things.
I think it's hilarious that you all call it spag bol.
What do you call it?
Just spaghetti.
There are more syllables in spaghetti than in spag bol.
We just don't talk about the bolognese part.
Now there's a type of milk, the name of which Brits and Americans can't agree on, and it's this. I refer to this type of milk as skimmed milk.
And I just say skim milk, or non-fat.
Do you know who came up with that?
No.
It wasn't Americans, it was Shakespeare. I think this is another one that should come with a caveat and serviette.
Isn't that a chocolate eclair?
Napkin, because I think the word we use in Britain is in use here, but just like with sweet corn, it's not as widespread as it might be in Britain. In Britain, I use as a profiterole.
And I think of it
yeah,
as a
of
cream
course.
puff.
Wife, you're a big fan of seafood.
I am. I just had some really good sushi for lunch today.
That's good, and while I absolutely hate sushi, I do like a good round of prawns.
Right, there were shrimp in my sushi too.
Yeah. Why do you guys call prawns shrimp? Like, why is that? Is the scientific name for prawn shrimp, or some kind of something with the word shrimp in it? Like, why is that?
When you say shrimp, that's the same thing as prawns. It's crazy.
What's a tiger shrimp to you?
No idea.
A tiger prawn.
All right,
Yeah.
sometimes I like to make my own
Mincemeat.
burgers, and when I do, I use this.
Ground beef.
Or as I would call it, minced beef, because we love that word, right? Minced beef, minced pies, after 8 mince, they're all different words. Well now, wife, since I know for a fact this is one of your favourite meals,
That's,
I'm going to allow you
macaroni?
to go first on this.
I do love a good macaroni and cheese.
But you'll sometimes say mac and cheese, right?
Yeah.
But either way, the crucial component here is the word and. We don't bother with that in Britain. To us, this is just macaroni cheese. Don't ask me why.
That looks disgusting.
Tell that to 19-year-old Lawrence Brown drunk on a Friday night in
Kebab,
Grimsby.
right?
Because back in the day, these were very popular for that demographic.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I like a good hero, but
Wait, what
A
did you
good
just call
what?
a hero.
it? A hero?
Well, sure, that's
A hero? Why? Hero? I'm looking for the cape. Like, why is this called a hero?
that's what it is.
What's heroic about it?
No, Gyro, a hero.
Oh.
That's the word that everyone thinks is pronounced gyro. Well, the thing that we eat that's very similar to a hero is called a doner kebab.
Where are you finding these pictures?
I have my sources.
That's
and
jelly.
While this might look like some, aloe vera, it is in fact what I would call jelly.
Jello. Really
Jell-O.
gross
Yeah,
jello.
Pretty similar.
So this
pretty
one brought
similar.
up a bit of confusion to me because when I first moved here and we had ham for Christmas,
It's just
this didn't resemble what I would call ham in Britain. In fact, it looked more like gammon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting because I have never heard that before. And in fact, isn't gammon a specific cut of meat? Because to me, that is just a spiralized ham, or at least I suspect it's spiralized in terms of cut. It's kind of hard to tell.
Spiralized.
Over the years, a lot of my
Is that when they roll the beef or the meat and tie it with strings, right?
My subscribers have told me that they've seen this very food item in Walmart as being marked from my hometown of Grimsby.
I don't even know
and
what
that should
that
tell you
is.
that I used to eat these for breakfast. I didn't mean to admit that. I would call these fish fingers.
And I would
Oh,
call
right.
them fish sticks. And for the record, I ate them a lot growing up too, but not for breakfast.
I still haven't got used to fish sticks. Well, you wouldn't dip your fish sticks in these, would you, wife?
No, give me custard
That's a
any day.
cupcake.
And I have to say, before I moved to the United States, I didn't really partake of these very
Or a
often, but if I
fairy
did,
cake?
I would have called these fairy cakes.
Yeah.
And I call them cupcakes because
It's weird. My English and American words are starting to merge. I think I'm starting to use a few Americanisms.
they're baked in a cup.
And they're cakes. It's not just that the United States has Lays instead of Walkers.
Chips.
Even the very product in the bag goes by a different name.
Potato chips.
And of course, where I grew up, these
Crisps.
were referred to as crisps.
Yeah.
There's just I can't go on. I cannot go on looking at that.
That's a-
But in the
an
name
aubergine.
of professionalism, we do have to name this screened object. It's not something that I've eaten often, but when I used to see it on the shelves at Asda, I think this used to go by a French word, courgette.
And they are very tasty, but I think they're called zucchinis.
Well, at this point,
I was
all of this
wrong on
talk
both
of food
counts.
has got me very excited about something that arrived today.
This video is sponsored by HelloFresh, who bring you mouth-watering seasonal recipes and fresh pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your that taste brilliant. With HelloFresh curated meals, packaging that Hello 14 to get 14 free meals, including free shipping. Those details are in my description box below.
And now we begin our final 10.
You've certainly whetted my appetite.
It was a joke. So I have to admit, for the first, 30 years
Isn't that
of my
cabbage?
life, I detested lettuce. So I didn't really eat much of it in Britain. But I've come to find that my fellow Brits refer to this as cos lettuce.
I think we just call
Cost
it romaine,
lettuce.
but I'm not really sure why.
But I can tell you why we call it cos lettuce, because it's connected to the
Doesn't this look more like cabbage, guys? Or am I tripping over here? Like, I guess, yeah, it looks more like cabbage.
island of Kos.
Oh, is it from there?
I think so. Hey wife, what is the corniest thing you've ever seen that isn't actually corn?
You?
What are you doing?
Is that cornstarch?
Just kidding. It's
Corn flour?
cornstarch, which is actually made of corn. So you got that wrong.
Well, we would
You
call
refer
it
to this as
flour.
cornstarch?
Yeah.
No way, no way. Where I'm from, this is corn flour.
Yeah.
Ooh, I really like this one on tacos.
A lot
Parsley?
of people don't because they say that it tastes like soap.
So odd that that's the case, but cilantro will always have my heart.
And coriander, as I refer to it
Coriander.
as, will not, but the sentiment is there.
Oh, Cadbury, my Cadbury. This is clearly a candy bar, but I probably would call it chocolate bar nowadays,
Yeah,
too.
chocolate
I
bar.
wonder why.
I would also call it a chocolate bar because I always have, and I've influenced her beyond belief.
Oh yes, this is chili, which can be vegetarian, and I know that that is a very scary statement for some of you.
And that includes...
I don't really eat this type of stuff, but this would be nachos, right? Nachos with beans.
foods in the United Kingdom where we typically do have chili with meat, and because of that, we refer to it as chili con carne. There's perhaps no more well-known British-American food difference than this one.
Chips.
Clearly, I refer to these as chips.
Fries.
But it should be said that whenever I've ordered fish and chips in this country, they have indeed gone by fish and chips.
Is that actually true? Because I feel like sometimes when they have fish and chips on the menu and then you order it, you end up with potato chips and then you absolutely hate it.
Yeah, that happened once, and I've never been back to that pub again. All right, raise your hand if you've just recently
That's,
been to your state
Candy
fair.
Floss.
I can only see her hand because you're not in the room. But of course, at state fairs and indeed at fairgrounds in England, you might find that sort of cotton ball thing that they put on sticks.
I used to love this stuff as a kid. Oh my God, the amount of it I ate. I'm surprised I didn't turn into one. Literally every weekend I'd get like 3 of them. It was ridiculous. I'm surprised I don't have any fillings.
That you eat that's also sugary. We refer to that as candy floss.
And while I haven't had any since I was 6,
Cotton
we call it cotton
candy.
candy. Are those molasses cookies?
I don't
those
know,
are
I didn't
biscuits,
make
aren't they?
them, but if they are, it would be doubly confusing. Because where I'm from, these are referred to as biscuits, and this is even more confusing because you
Yeah,
have
'cause
something
your
called biscuits, which
biscuits
are kind
are
of like,
like
I don't know,
scones.
savoury scones.
I even have a recipe for biscuits, like American ones, on my website, which you can check in the description.
While this might look like a vegetable that the Super Mario Brothers might
that
pull
a
out of the
beetroot?
ground, it is in fact a vegetable that a qualified farmer would pull out of the ground.
know what
and
that is.
syllabically, we take the longer approach to naming this vegetable because we refer to it as a beetroot.
Oh yeah.
And I just say beets. This might be my favorite vegetable, and that is the eggplant.
Which was a really
Oh, so that's an
disconcerting term
aubergine.
when I first moved to the United States because I pictured
Right.
eggs growing on trees. And that could be something to do with the fact that in the United Kingdom we refer to these as aubergines. But I do have a confession to make after all of this.
What's that?
Because I didn't really eat these in the UK and I only learned to eat them in the United States, I have come to call them eggplants. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments
That was
below your
fun.
favorite.
Yeah, I definitely think that maybe because of all of the American movies and TV that I'm consuming, I'm starting to use the American versions of certain words, which is fine. But when I go shopping, I'm going to need to remember. But I guess as long as if I can see the thing and it's there, I'll know what I'm after. So I guess there's no real problem in using the American versions of certain things. I think it's going to get, even like the younger generations, it's going to be even stronger for them because they're going to, they're all watching Netflix, they're all playing video games against, Americans. So the language, I think you guys too, you're going to probably start using the English version of certain things. Everything is just going to become a bit more like merged together, which is cool because then we pretty much sound the same. I don't know if accents will change, but yeah, I think vernacular is definitely going to change for sure. Do you guys use the English versions of any of the foods that you saw or anything in general? Like, let me know, that'd be kind of fun. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.